Hope you guys and gents are having a wonderful day today, because I sure am not. And my name is Dalton Smith. I'm from Springfield, Kentucky. And this is going to be my first YouTube video. Okay, I'm going to try to start a channel here, and it's going to be based off sort of quote-unquote conspiracy theories, plus some wonderful firearms like this one in their first YouTube video today. Okay, is a Glock 17 JID 5. Very pretty. Just to make this a gun content video, I'll show you that today. This is my EDC. Now, since it's a gun content video, let's get to the conspiracy. Like I said, I'm pretty young. I'm 21. So, I have a kid, and he's about to be 1. And me and my girl got into a little argument today, raised our voices, and we stay at a small apartment. And, some cops got called. And I walked outside to go to work, calm down, just leave early, go to work, fuck it. We're arguing, I'm leaving. I walk outside, run, bump into this cop. And she asked me for my ID. And I said, okay, what's your reason? He said, well, we got a call about such and such. And I said, okay, what's the reason? She said, I just told you. I said, that's not a valid reason for me to give you my ID. And officer behind her says domestic dispute. And I said, well, okay, here you go. Thank you. That's partly a fucking reason. Give it to him. And he says, what's going on here? And I start talking to him, tell him I'm 21 and this is my first child and this is my first girlfriend I've had a child with, obviously, and we're trying to work the kinks out, Nothing in this world worth having is easy, and nothing is worth having is worth doing, If you want something that's worth having, it's going to be hard to get, okay? So you got to work hard and strive for that. There's going to be good days, there's going to be bad days, whatever, okay? And I get to talking to this guy, and I'm like, my dad always told me one day I'd get it, I always like, fuck you, Dad, blah, 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 cussed and hated my dad for the longest time. And we always argued, and now I see why, now I understand it all. But me and this guy got to talking, and I was like, it must suck to be a cop right now. Why are you guys helping build the system that's going to replace you? They don't care about you, they care about you the same way they care about a soldier. They don't care. If they cared about them soldiers, they wouldn't be homeless under the bridge overdosing. And if veterans and soldiers were so important, why don't we take care of them? And he just kind of looked at me, and I'm one of those people that once I start getting into that topic, I can start ranting. And I started ranting so much to where I shed a tear, I kind of got choked up and started crying a little bit. And I said, it's just terrible, our world is ran by these oligarchic billionaires and technocrats that are turning everything into just shit. Nothing is worth nothing anymore. And you want to dance and prance around, I'm an American, I'm a cop. But here's the thing, here's the part that I almost left out. And he says, after I tell him this stuff about Epstein and how our world's corrupted and explain to him, give him a red pill pretty much. And he's like, well, Epstein files was a hoax and our government is controlled by America, or America controls America. And I was like, okay. So I knew where he was going. Just for shits and giggles, I asked him if he'd stalked anyone with the flock camera. Okay, and I'm going to get his badge number. This is Lebanon Police Department in Kentucky. I'll get his badge number for you guys. And he says, yes, I have. And I said, okay, that's fine. I said, why? He said, they was ever driving a stolen vehicle. And I said, okay. Keep in mind here, I believe that in America, there's no such phrase as that if you're not hiding anything, there's nothing to be afraid of. That's not how this country is. That's not how this country was founded. It's founded by you mind your own business. You want to come mumbling in mine? I got something for you if you want to come mumbling in mine. You understand? That's what we were founded on. And we need to go back to the principles that founded this country. Okay? And then I talked to this motherfucker. And we got a little heated exchange. And I could tell this was going to get violent in my way. I was just going to start yelling, get out of control. I wasn't going to be able to calm myself down and handle myself. So I walked away. And the last thing I said before I opened the door to get out of the hallway was, I hope you had fun violating that man's Fourth Amendment right. And he looked me dead in my eye and he said, I sure did. And he grinned. And it was at that moment I knew that the system was corrupted and that it was corrupting individuals. But I didn't think that people in my own hometown would be like that, My dad raised me to be a Republican. He raised me to believe that, girls don't belong in the boys' locker room and boys don't belong in the girls' locker room and all this type of stuff that Republicans believe in, okay? And then you got the Democrats that believe in this. And then sometimes you'll say, this Democrat will want health care. free. And this Republican will want to pay for health care. But this Republican says I can run my truck without an exhaust. And the Democrat says I gotta have an exhaust for emissions or whatever. Why do I have to pick between the two? That is not how we're supposed to be. I shouldn't have to pick between Moloch and Baal when it comes to election. Some serious things. I know I'm bouncing off the walls here. But some serious things need to be done in this country. And I don't know who's going to lead it or who started it, but let me hop on the train with you. Okay, I appreciate, I can't think of his last name, but Zach Forestry or something like that. He just put out a video about Thomas Massie, how that was the most expensive Congress, the most expensive primary in history. Should have asked that officer who paid for that, because it wasn't America. It wasn't America who paid for that, was it? America didn't pay to get Thomas Massie out of office. So who did? Who did? Who did? Israel. These fucking Zionists have took over our country. If you don't know who Randy Weaver is, you need to do some research. And you need to find that picture of that man wearing a shirt that says, "Say no to Zog," Zionist occupied government. And that is what we are living on under today. Any problems that you face that are not your own, trace it back. It will be their fault. They are ruining this country and corrupting it in ways you could never understand or begin to imagine. But learn what the New World Order is, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, we got some MP5s, we got some ARs, we got some AKs, we got a 50 BMG. Let me know what you guys want to see. Videos coming soon.